Today on Sugar Spun Run, we'll be making an Oreo pie. Hey Sugar Spun bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. This is a fun and easy no-bake recipe. It's great any time of the year, but I especially love making it during the warm summer months because it is super refreshing. It has a nice creamy filling, it's loaded with cookie bits. Let's go ahead and get started. Now the first thing we're going to be doing is making our Oreo crust. I like to do this in a food processor. It makes things super simple. You'll need 25 Oreo cookies. You do not need to remove the filling, and we'll just add these to the basin of our food processor. Now add your lid, and we're just going to pulse these until we have fine cookie crumbs. Plug it in first. One day I'll learn to plug in my appliances before using them. So we're just going to pulse these, and that should do it. Let's take a look. I just want to make sure I don't have any large cookie pieces remaining. And the next ingredient you're going to need is 4 tablespoons of melted butter. This can be salted or unsalted butter, either's fine. I just use whichever I have on hand. This butter is going to be what binds our crust together. It's the only other ingredient we're going to need for the crust. I'm just going to pour this evenly over the cookie crumbs. Scrape out all that butter into the basin of my food processor because we do not waste butter around here. And then we are going to pulse everything together, just a couple more times. So that was about 5 1-second pulses, but it's not an exact science. What we are checking for is that all of the cookie crumbs have been moistened by that butter. Looks like they have been, so I'm going to pop this off my food processor. Remove the blade without losing any cookie crumbs. And we are going to pour this into a 9.5-inch pie plate. Now let's just pour these cookie crumbs into our pie plate. And we're going to press these in an even layer into the bottom and up the sides of the pie plate. To help me do this, I usually like to take the clean bottom of a glass or a measuring cup and use this just to help me pack the crumbs in. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So there is no need to bake today's pie crust. We're just going to set it aside while we prepare our filling. Now the first thing we're going to do for our pie filling is make some whipped cream. This is super simple to make, but you are going to want to grab yourself an electric hand mixer. You could use a stand mixer instead, but my point is you don't want to do this by hand because it takes a while and is quite a workout. So to a large mixing bowl, we are going to add 1.5 cups of cold, heavy cream. And for today's recipe, we're also going to be using 1 cup of powdered sugar. We are going to add about 1/2 cup to our whipped cream. This doesn't have to be exact. The rest is going to go in with our other ingredients, so just set that aside. And now use your electric mixer to beat this together until you have stiff, fluffy peaks. I'll show you what that looks like. I did plug my mixer in this time, so that's a win. You at home should definitely use a bowl larger than this because I'm getting whipped cream all over my countertop right now. Just splattering everywhere. One day I'll learn. Today is not the day. Finally, now that my counter is speckled with whipped cream, we have stiff peaks. Let me show you what that looks like. The mixture is very thick, very fluffy. It's called stiff peaks because if you were to use the spatula to make a peak with it, the peak that forms would hold its shape, stand tall, wouldn't fall back in on itself or dissolve. Another way to tell it's done, just grab a scoop of it. It should be really thick. I have no problem holding it with my spatula. I want to make sure you can see that. All right, now set this aside. We don't need it just yet. And now we'll grab another large mixing bowl. This is the one I should have used for my whipped cream. And to this, we are going to add 16 ounces of cream cheese. I do recommend using full-fat cream cheese, the kind sold in bricks like this is. I don't recommend using the spreadable kind that's sold in tubs or low-fat because your pie is not going to set up properly if you do. This cream cheese is softened. That's also important. That way you can make sure all of your ingredients combine nicely. Let's add this one in. And remember, we have about 1/2 cup of powdered sugar remaining. We'll add this in as well. For some nice depth of flavor, I love to add a bit of sour cream. Let me grab my spatula from the whipped cream. A little cross-contamination doesn't hurt because we're going to be adding the whipped cream shortly anyway, as you probably guessed. Now this is a 1/4 cup of sour cream. And then finally, for a little bit more flavor, we'll add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And once again, we can just grab our electric mixer and use the beaters that have the whipped cream on them. No problem. I like to save dishes where I can. And we'll stir everything together until this is smooth, creamy, and lump-free. Okay, this is looking good, but I do want to just scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl. I want to make sure there are no lumps of cream cheese hiding because it's just terrible when you think you have a nice smooth batter and then you bite into a lump of cream cheese. We don't want that. Okay, I am happy with this. So let's grab our whipped cream and we're going to add this right into our bowl. And I do not want to use my electric mixer at this point because I don't want to deflate all that whipped cream or run the risk of over beating it. So I'm going to just use my spatula to fold everything together until these ingredients are nicely combined. We want a nice uniform batter. Okay, this looks pretty good. So now let's talk about our Oreos. We are going to, of course, be stirring some into our pie filling, and I recommend using about 15 cookies. Now, I like to not break them directly into my pie filling because you get a lot of fine crumbs in there and it can end up making the pie look a little bit gray. I like stark black and white, just looks nicer. So I always just break my cookies in a separate bowl, break it into pieces, and then I will drop them into my mixing bowl. So all the fine crumbs collecting here, now they're not going to be muddying up our batter. Now, is that a big deal? No. If you don't care about that, just skip this step, just crack them directly into your bowl, no big deal. You could also break them and shake them through a fine mesh strainer. That would also accomplish the same thing. But I'm a little bit of a perfectionist with my desserts, so we take the extra steps. No judgment if you don't. All right, let's break these last two. And you're just aiming for small, a little bit smaller than bite-sized pieces. And let's just fold these cookies in. Again, be gentle stirring, especially if you're like me and you don't want your batter super gray or muddy looking. The aesthetic's just better this way. Okay, once the cookies are nicely distributed, grab your pie plate and we'll just pour the batter into our pie plate. All right, now let's just smooth this with our spatula so it fills the pie plate nicely. Now this is going to need to set up in the refrigerator for at least 6 hours, preferably overnight, but because I don't want it to absorb any odors from the fridge, I'm just going to take a piece of plastic wrap and press it against the surface of the pie. We'll take this over to our fridge. Okay, of course I do have an Oreo pie that I prepared last night in preparation for today's video, so let's go ahead and unwrap it. If I can figure out the plastic wrap. My nemesis. I really do hate plastic wrap. It never cooperates. Now, of course, you can serve your pie just like this, but sometimes I like to be a little bit extra, and I will make a half batch of my homemade whipped cream just to decorate the pie. I'm just using an Attico 846 piping tip today. One of my favorites, that and the 848. It makes it pretty swirls. And the pie filling itself is pretty light, but the whipped cream just adds a nice, super light texture against the creamier filling. All right, what are we waiting for? Let's go ahead and dig in. Cutting into pies and cakes on camera, it makes me really nervous. One day maybe I'll get over that, but it's been a couple years now and so far no luck. The first slice is honestly also always the messiest because you're kind of wrestling the crumb a little bit, so that just adds to the pressure. This is not my best work. Not with cutting a pie slice. No, we're cutting another one. You need to see a better slice. Don't get me wrong, I'll still eat that one. But that one is just not ready to see the camera. Here we go. That looks much better. First slice is always the worst. There you go, much better. That is how you make my homemade Oreo pie. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe. And if you try this one out, please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, let's dig in. You've got to try this. It's so good. I'm eating that other piece too, so don't touch it.